talking about PCs versus NPCs. What are the differences, if any? So I posed this question out to the Role Players Anonymous forum, the number one forum, Bubba, for all things role-playing on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. And the answer came back to me quite succinctly. The difference between a PC and an NPC is that PCs are played by the players and NPCs are played by the GM, the game master. Ask a silly question, get a silly answer, right? But this is true. An NPC should be just as detailed as a PC in terms of appearance, personality, history, goals, allies, enemies, statistics. Every character should be equally detailed, whether they're played by the player or the GM. And none of them should be flat. The mustache, twirling villain. None of them should be the white-hatted hero, because that's just as boring. They're both very boring characters. You might have one. You might have one of each per campaign, but more than one character who's just this corny, cheesy, cliched, hackneyed thing. And your whole campaign is going to become cheesy, corny, hackney. You don't want that. Not if you're listening to my channel, you don't, because here we celebrate role-playing and complex storytelling. But I did want to make a comment to this, and it's that another difference is in terms of quality. You want, ideally, in a perfect world, you want NPCs and PCs to be of equal quality, but in the real world, that's never going to happen. A PC will always be better than an NPC because you've got a person devoting all their time and creativity and energy to making this character. Whereas GM, I have to make 100 characters. Each one only gets 1% of my creativity, of my effort, of my energy. So they're just not going to be as deep. And this especially comes through for me in combat, because combat is like the last thing I prep. And with 100 NPCs, usually I don't get around to prepping combat. In terms of what is his fighting style, what's his signature move, what is his favored weapon, the armor that he's chosen to wear. That's way down the list on things that I'm going to work out, and often it doesn't get done. So the NPCs often have a flat fighting style. I might know from his personality, from his appearance, from his history, that he's a big, strong, burly, bulky fighter versus a fast, agile, speedy fighter. But actually getting these signature moves and really bringing it through in terms of description, I'm really leaning on the players, because they're going to really describe what they're doing. As the GM, first of all, I haven't done that prep. Second of all, I might be running 10 NPCs in a fight scene. And for me to describe 10 moves, 10 attacks, 10 defenses, all in the same turn after turn after turn, it's going to drain my creativity, So for me, a really big difference in NPC versus PC is quality. PCs will always be better than an NPC. The GM has to lean on these PCs to provide that flavor into the game, which is, again, why it's so important to have good players. Because, if you have 6 PCs and you're counting on these 6 high-quality characters, but only 4 of them show up and the other 2 are only as detailed as an NPC, or perhaps less detailed than your NPC if you're a good GM and they're a bad player, the whole quality of the game is going to drop dramatically. The players are so important. The PCs are so important. And looking at PC versus NPC, it only really drives that home. The characters are really important, but the player characters exponentially more so. So that's my ramble on PCs versus NPCs. Thanks to everybody who contributed on Role Players Anonymous on Facebook. It's great talking to you. And I'll talk to you again real soon. Cheers.